Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment here on Rumble and YouTube. Predominantly, you know what? I don't know if there is a predominantly on this one. I try both platforms, and one takes it and the other doesn't. And YouTube's notorious for wanting to deplatform dissent these days. So if you're at all interested, if you hadn't done so yet, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, checking out the bell icon if you're on YouTube so that you're getting notifications. Like, comment, and share. This, especially today, the topic is time sensitive and, should we say, a little bit more urgent because we have a schedule to keep. And before we get going too far, this is especially going to be poignant because we're going to be talking about a group of people who drink a lot of coffee. And so if you know somebody who needs coffee, if you don't drink coffee yourself, you can let me know because you can buy my stuff. It's better than Starbucks ever dreamed of being, and definitely better than Folgers. And you can even get merch to go with it. So yeah, I'm shilling because gosh darn it, I need the extra money. And what we're going to be talking about today is a convoy here in the United States. Everybody's familiar with what's happening up in Canada. Well, was happening in Canada, and what now they're trying to shut down in Canada. And some of that shutdown was actually encouraged by the sitting president of the United States, Joe Biden. He calls up good old Justin Trudeau, and said, hey, you really need to crack down on those guys because gosh darn it, we're afraid that might happen here in the U.S. Well, guess what? It's probably going to happen here in the U.S. too, because I am on the DL. I have connections. I know people. It doesn't really happen, but I'm going to introduce you to a young lady. I call her young because everybody feels young compared to me right now. I'm going to introduce you to a young lady named Nicole who's taken on a bit of a management nightmare and is helping to coordinate one of the truck convoys here in the United States that's going to be heading from mostly the Midwest and into Washington, D.C. So I'm going to introduce everybody to Nicole, if I can figure out how to get her back on here. There we go. Nicole, thanks for sitting down with me today and such short notice. And tell me a little bit about yourself, what got you involved with this, and who are you representing?
Well, my name is Nicole, and I'm a single mom, and I work in healthcare. I'm a travel CNA, so I've seen some of the worst sides to the mandates through healthcare and through education. I have friends up in Canada, so when Canada really started showing up on the radar, I was paying very close attention. My friends were reaching out saying, you need to watch this, you need to see what's going on. So I started watching the live feeds on TikTok. And I have a decent platform on TikTok. So my entire TikTok platform actually changed with the movement because as I got more involved, I started sharing more and leaning more towards what can we do to help, and then leaning towards guess what I'm doing.
Just out of curiosity, what is your how do people find you on TikTok? I'll put you on here.
Oh, on TikTok, my name is Robinson, Robinson, Elocin, which is my name spelled backwards. Elicon. Wait, yeah. Just spell Nicole Just spell Nicole backwards. It's Robinson and then Nicole spelled backwards.
Now you got me all confused. Robinson. Don't write it because it'll come up backwards on the screen.
Elocin.
Oh, Robinson, Elocin.
Yep.
On TikTok.
Yep.
Is it like at or?
You just, when you do a search, you just type it in and click on the people tab, and I should pop right up at the top.
Okay. Look, we're going to be all fancy about this.
Are you about to go hunt me down?
No.
Oh, there you go. That's cool.
There you go.
So
she's got a fair. She says she has a fair following on TikTok.
I have 28,000, I think, right now.
Yeah, that's 27,000 more people than I have on YouTube. So thanks for embarrassing me on my own channel.
You're welcome.
So anyway, so you started following them on TikTok and talking about it on TikTok and gained some more followers.
So when I heard that there was whispers, we'll say, of it happening here, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get involved with this. I'm going to see what I can do. So when I heard for sure they were going to start something here, I thought, well, let me get a group of my friends and family that are, like-minded involved in this, and let's join up. Like, I knew I was going all the way to DC, whether they went with me or not. I knew I was going. So I started a Facebook page for Indiana, and within the first day I had like 400 followers, and I was like, wow, this is just crazy. By like day 3, I was up to like 900. And I think currently, and I've had it up like 2 weeks, I think currently I'm at 1,400 just for Indiana. So I had a guy reach out to me, and he was like, you got something going on, and I'd like to put you in contact with a few other people. And I'm like, okay, it's just going to be more people like me. And boy, was I wrong, because these people they're ready to get it going. They're ready to start it, plan it. They're like, we got ideas. And so now there's 6 of us from around the region that have put our heads together. We've developed maps. We've figured out the logistics, what day and time we're taking off from what points, and it'll lead them to merging with other groups that are coming from different areas. That was very time consuming. That's probably the most time consuming part. And so we have also a Midwestern page where people can reach out and say, I'm from this state, and we'll link them to their correct, what would you call it? Like advisor, correct state volunteer that'll get them hooked up with the right routes and where to be at.
And what's that? That's Facebook?
Yeah, it's Midwestern Freedom Convoy to DC, I believe.
You think I know this ahead of time, but I forgot what the name of the group was. I just get the alert. So no, keep talking.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, I linked up with them, and
you're
it just
fired.
Grew and grew and grew and grew. And now I don't even know how many people, by the time they get to me in Indiana, I don't know how many trucks and cars are going to be there, because every day we have people reaching out saying, I'm joining. And so their stopping point, they have an overnight stay that's located local to me. And I've put together a rally, and I coordinated with local law enforcement, state police, let them know they were coming. Of course, their first questions were, do you foresee any problems? And I was like, well, Indiana's just a gateway to where we're going. No, we don't plan on blocking anything off. They're just having an overnight stay here, just passing through. But, with all major events, you're going to have people that are against it too. So I just want them to be on heightened alert that is a possibility. So I arranged with we have 2 major truck stops off the interstate here. They know we're coming. They are excited for us to be utilizing them for our overnight stay. And we'll have a
I don't know. I don't know if these truck stops that are like, oh yeah, go ahead, stop. I don't know if they understand.
Well, okay. So the 2 truck stops here, they're managed by the same guy, and he's actually been following Canada. So I think that he's pretty aware that it could be huge.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some naysayers out there saying that, like, oh, people are talking that's going to be 90,000 trucks or more, and I don't even think they're going to get a third of that. And I'm seeing a lot of excitement just in the Midwestern Freedom Convoy group. And
I wouldn't say that 90,000 trucks are going to come across to Indiana. I would not put that number on it. However,
no, but I mean nationwide.
Yeah, I don't even want to try and guess how many people are going to be involved in this. And it's not going to be just trucks. We got people pulling campers, we got cars, we got buses.
RVs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. I've been talking about this on my channel for such a long time. Well, it's really not been that long. It feels like, for everything that I've been through in the last 2 years, it feels like a long time. But I've been talking about this from the outset. One of the things that we get really wrapped up in here in the States is numbers. It's only a success if there's a lot of people.
Correct.
And then we look at Canada, and I think at one point, I think wasn't there convoy at some point over 1,700 kilometers long.
Yes, they set a world record.
Yeah, they set a world record for the length of a single convoy. So it was massive. It was, and I'm sure that number's even off. I know it's probably even longer, but it stretched almost end to end, state, uh, coast to coast to some degree. For how, when there again, they have a limited amount of highways they can use too.
Right.
But
And they also spent, I can't remember if it was 7 or 9 months planning their
yeah,
event. We're planning in less than a month.
and we're pulling people from a whole wheel. Really, it's kind of a wheel, and we're pulling people in from hubs or
Correct.
different places, all trying to converge on one spot. So we may not have the same length of convoys, but even if we get a third of the people that are saying they're going, it's going to be massive.
Yes.
And yet all people seem to be able to focus on is you've got to have 90,000, 100,000, 200,000 for this to make an impact. And I get it. It's easier to see, and it's easier to look at it and go, well, this isn't just a few roustabouts who have, nothing better to do with their time. But there's a lot of these truckers who are giving up. They're giving up routes. They're giving up pay because they're all deadheading. It's not like they're picking up trailers and dropping off loads between, Seattle and Oregon and whatnot. They're all deadheading this.
Correct.
And for those of you that don't know, deadheading means they're running empty.
Yes,
So.
they're basically giving up their life right now to go over there and take part in this. And I mean, it's not anybody who's going and plans on staying for the duration, and we don't even know what that duration is going to be. They are giving up their whole livelihood. I'm, leaving my children with their grandmother. And I honestly, I haven't worked in 2 weeks because this has consumed my life. And that's okay with me because I have faith. I have faith that I'm doing what I need to be doing. And I have faith that we'll get through this. So.
Yeah, I'm sure your kids are just going to hate spending time with grandma. I'm sure that's not going
Well,
to end in massive amount of.
my mom actually lives with me. So
Oh.
they're used to her. They're not thrilled about it. I think the hardest conversations that I've had about this convoy have been with my children because of the negativity that could potentially come from it, and having to explain to your kids that things that you don't want to happen could happen. That's not easy. And that's a conversation that all these truckers are having to have with their families. Anybody that's going to DC, we've made it clear that there are possible negative outcomes to taking part in this. We don't want to, paint this out to be a party. We don't know what's going to happen when we get over there, as far as what the media is going to say, as far as what the government's going to say. As you've noticed, there's been a lot of negative feedback when it comes to government and media with Canada, and I'm sure that we will follow suit here.
Oh, well, I mean, we can already tell you what they're going to say,
Right.
Look at all the anti-vaxxers, they'll just
and see, I think
on.
the thing that people aren't realizing is that we're not anti-vaxxers.
Oh, no, they realize it, Nicole. They know that we're not anti-vax.
Right.
They just don't have any, it's no different than when they label you a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
They don't have a better answer. So they label you, they gaslight you.
Well, I try to tell them when they say anti-vaxxers, well, I'm vaccinated. So I'm going and I'm vaccinated. It's not about.
Well, we can't talk anymore because clearly if you're vaccinated, you're part of the problem. So
no, it's just for us, it's about choosing. No one should step in and tell you what to do with your life. They shouldn't be able to. And now we're having people step in and tell us what to do, not only with our lives, but with our kids' lives. And that's where I draw a line.
And threatening you with sanctions if you don't comply.
I mean, I would have lost my job if I didn't get vaccinated. I won't lie to anybody. But I could have refused. But again, I'm a single mom. And so I didn't have a choice, I guess, if I wanted to maintain the income that I have. But at the same time, I'm one of those people where I'm like, you can always put a mask on or take it off. But the vaccine's something you can't take out of your body once it's in. So you have to draw a line there. And, I tell people every day that, you know, the dangers of getting in a car. The government knows the dangers of getting in a car and pulling out of your driveway and driving down the road. Yet they don't tell you that you can't unless you don't have a license, then it's illegal. But we have all these things in life that are dangerous, and they allow us to put ourselves in those situations because we have a choice. And they're trying to use COVID as the danger and telling us we have to do things because of it. And when you really sit and think about it, how is COVID any more dangerous than some of the other things that we do daily in life? That we do have choice.
Just so you're aware, going forward, throughout the duration of this conversation, we do not use that word. We use the word coof.
Oh, coof. Okay.
Yes, it's the coof, because for those of you that are not YouTube savvy, for some reason, if you say coof, it doesn't register with them. But if you use the other word, it gets picked up on their algorithms, and I end up with warnings on my videos.
Oh, you should have warned me before we came in.
I didn't even think about it because I just wasn't ready, I guess. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot to be said for the reality that they're using the people against each other, and
Yes.
they're using the coof to divide the people, and then they're using people's positions to paint them in diametrically opposed political corners so that they have no choice but to come out swinging. And they want us divided. And the last thing in the world that they want is something like this convoy, where there are people in that convoy who are like, yeah, I've been jabbed. I've taken the jab, and
Right.
I'm okay with the jab personally, but I don't think anybody else should be forced to do it at the threat of losing their livelihood or losing their career or whatever the case might be.
Correct.
And that's what they're afraid of. And that's what and it goes back to what you're saying. We don't know what they're going to say. We already do know what they're going to say. And we do know what they're going to try, because they tried it with parents at school board meetings. Oh, they're terrorists. They're domestic. What? They show up to school board meetings and express their discontent with the school board doing all sorts of things behind ostensibly behind the scenes, because no one's been paying attention. And all of a sudden they're domestic terrorists. Well, that's the same thing they just said about all the truckers in Canada. Oh, we're using the Emergency Powers Act because we've got these dangerous radical ice hockey, square dancing, river dancing. I mean, seriously, I've never been so terrified of people square dancing in my life. Well, that's not true.
The most
Square dancing actually
peaceful
scares me a
country,
lot.
the most peaceful country right now in the world. The country that no one even thought about. Like, they're just there. Like, to me, Canada was just there. Like, you barely even knew they existed because you never hear anything out of Canada. And
Well, they're
suddenly
kind of our annoying little brother.
They're blowing up everywhere. Like, every single country knows who they are and what they're about now.
Don't say blowing up.
Oh, there we go. There's another word. They've made their presence known within the world.
Well, they're the annoying little brother of the United States of America. Right. I mean, that's really what they are. I mean, and I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday, and the reality of this is that Canada exists as a free and sovereign nation now because the United States became a free and sovereign nation after fighting a war for independence and starting in 1776. We set that precedence for a lot of nations, but especially for Canada. And we're sitting back now when we should be leading the charge on this, kind of waiting for the little brother to step up and take the lead. And that's what they did. They just get out of the way, big brother. Because if you're not going to do it, we're going to.
Right.
And that's why I've been so impressed to see a movement come together so fast here in the States. And I want to put this out for that reason. I want people to know. But there's an interesting aspect to this. And by the way, don't forget, you got to connect me with the gentleman that's leading the I-90 route.
Right.
But there's something else going on because of what you do by profession, and you and I share even a history with that as well, where we're coming from career-wise. You left a career of some time to come into the medical field. And now, because of your experience in the medical field as a CNA, And so for those of you that don't know, that's a certified nursing assistant. They basically do the work while the nurses stand around and watch.
Pretty
And
much.
that's a joke for all of my nurse friends in the area. You know, I love you. That was because I say the same thing when we're comparing nurses to doctors. The doctors come in and watch while the nurses do all the work. So, you know, it's like when I pick on my Marine friends and draw everything in crayon for them.
And then feed it to them afterwards.
Afterwards, yeah, there you go. You have a connection to the medical field as a CNA. And contrary to what a lot of people believe, there are a lot of people in the medical field that are starting to reach out and want to take part in things like this.
Yes.
And so you've had a massive amount of feedback from what, just your own hometown, right?
Yes.
So you're hearing from people from all over.
Yeah, we actually had a group out of Ohio. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but I received a message from them, and it's a group of nurses, doctors, literally anyone you could think of in the medical field that lost their jobs, either due to refusal of the vaccine, or they just walked out. They, on their own, they said, nope, I'm done, or they got fired. That reached out and asked what they could do to help. And they offered to set up first aid stations for us over in the area that we're going to be in DC, just in case we, needed them. We need to utilize them. So I put them in contact with the gal doing the logistics for what I would call boots on the ground over there, getting that area set up.
Boy, you in that language, you are just, you are trying to get me banned, aren't you?
What I say now?
Now you said boots on the ground. You make it sound all military. Like I'm just.
It kind of is.
Like our short-lived friendship is going to result in me losing everything.
You should have sent me a list of what not to say.
Don't say. No, I'm teasing you, by the way. So I want people to understand that people that you don't know heard about the effort, reached out to you because of your shared experiences, and said, "How can we help?"
Yes.
Not, "Oh, you're a bunch of radical, weirdo, anti-jabbers and who should all be thrown in jail for your dissent." They're literally reaching out and saying, "How can we help?" Because we agree.
Yes.
And some of them have lost their jobs for taking the same positions.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to limit that only to people from Ohio and Indiana, right? You don't want anybody else getting involved. Like you wouldn't.
Oh no, we want everybody to.
Oh, okay. So for those of you in the Rochester area who have worked for Mother Mayo and no longer have that job to fall back on, there are people out there who would love to have you come along. And you don't have to come along to provide boots on the ground first aid. You can come along just to support, or you can line the routes. And one of those routes is coming on the I-90 route. That starts, where's the I-90 route starting?
I believe it actually starts in Washington.
Yep.
It's coming across the entire north.
Yeah,
and
so
then they'll drop
coming down through Washington, Idaho, Montana, down into Wyoming, into South Dakota, then into Minnesota, and then we'll just not mention Wisconsin or Illinois.
Yes, I believe they'll come through Wisconsin, the top of Illinois, and then in Illinois, they're going to drop down to I-74 and cross into Indiana, and then they'll go around Indianapolis and hit I-70, and we'll take I-70 almost the rest of the way.
That's a long drive.
Yeah. They're starting on the 1st, and we plan on being at our, I'm trying to think of a word I can say.
You're fine. Just
our final resting area. We plan on being there the night of the 6th.
So these guys aren't messing around. So like I know they're stopping at a truck stop on Interstate 90 in Albert Lea, Minnesota, on the 4th of March.
Mm-hmm.
And they're leaving. Where are they in South Dakota the day before on the 3rd? Do you know?
Oh Lord, no, because everything's on my all my routes are saved on my phone, and I'm using my phone to talk to you.
You're taking a pay cut for this. So
I know. Shame on me.
But we will post those and update I'll try and get the route from you, and we'll put it in the description of the video for the I-90 people, and then we'll have the link to the Freedom Convoy stuff in the video description as well, so that people can follow this. Because so like my plan is to, on the morning of the 4th, get up, head west on Interstate 90 and drive until I see the convoy, and then try and find a place on I-90 to swing over and join the convoy. And I'll be shooting video. I'll be doing live stream when I do find the convoy, and hands-free devices, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to be driving dangerously, but we're going to live stream the convoy as much as we can, and then hopefully interview the leader of the group coming out of Washington, and maybe others and other people who are going to be part of the support team, and people who are going to be showing up to support them at their stop in Albert Lea. And they'll be stopping in Albert Lea on the afternoon of the 4th, so for about an hour, so they can rest, refuel, recharge, and then they're going to take off and going to head into Wisconsin, where they're going to stop for the night before they then take off to finish the rest of their trip. And there again, they're starting on the 1st, and they're timing this so that they're not ahead of people, so that people have a place where they can meet them and join them and support them. So they're not going to be doing this, pedal to the metal to get there as fast as possible. They're doing this to make us to make themselves known. So here we are on the 21st of February, and people have plenty of time to get involved. And
Correct.
You don't have to be driving a semi, as you've already said, to take part in this. Having involved yourself in this, Nicole, are you hearing from a lot of long haul guys that this isn't just about their jobs, or the idea that somehow they're going to be forced into this? They're doing this because they love the Republic.
Yes.
Do you think, and I've had this conversation with other people, because it's come up, oh, well, they're making other people really uncomfortable in Ottawa. People, aren't getting to sleep at night, and at some point it's not very polite, and it's not very nice of them to do this. And I'm kind of like, what's the point of a protest if people are not made uncomfortable? And what I want people to understand is the emphasis on this is not to disrupt people's lives in a dangerous way. Because what we do know about the convoy in Ottawa or in Canada, they haven't stopped a single ambulance. They haven't stopped a single emergency response. They haven't stopped a single fire department. They haven't stopped a single anything at all related with people's safety and welfare in that regard from taking place. They have simply come to a place where they have decided the only way to be heard and to make a difference is to be annoying. I mean, that's it. And we say it all the time, right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? The loudest pup gets to nurse first. I won't say it the way that some people would, but how else are you going to make a difference? Which is why they want to shut this stuff down. Trudeau did not step in because there was danger. In fact, for 3 weeks prior to this last week, they spent all the time they could avoiding it. They called them a minority of people, said it's not even that big of a presence, even though they set a record, said that there was a fringe movement of extremists that no one pays attention to. They went from that in a course of a couple of weeks to now they're radical insurrectionists hell-bent on destroying Canada, and their presence in Ottawa is dangerous. And there again, so far the only people that have been harmed have been the truck drivers and their supporters, who several of them were run down by a member of Antifa a couple of weeks ago. And now now I'm going to say this very carefully, the statist supporters who are in it to keep their jobs are the ones hurting the protesters. The protesters have not hurt a soul up there.
Correct.
At all. And that, people, you have to understand, is because the protesters are having an impact without burning down buildings, without stealing people's property, without looting stores. They're just having an impact. And I don't know, Nicole, if you heard this, but one of the people who actually is okay with the mandates happening in Canada said, I'm all for what these people are standing up for. They have a right to do it. They have the freedom to do it. And you want to know what a bigger inconvenience is for us? It's not the truckers driving around the Capitol. It's all the roadblocks and the barricades and the blockades that the police have put up. And now I have to show ID to just get to my house when I'm walking my dog.
Yeah.
That's a bigger annoyance than the protest is. And that should tell us something. Are we hoping as a, and I say we just because we're talking, but are we hoping that this actually has an impact on the economy and people realize without the truckers, this country doesn't run? Is that kind of where we're going with this?
That's just
it's okay.
It's just really a hard one to answer. I don't think that anybody is really hoping for an impact on the economy. We don't want to hurt anybody in any way, and that includes financially. But the reality of it is that without truckers, it probably will be an impact on the economy. I don't know how many people have been grocery shopping in the last week, but I went last night, and even with just the shortage of truckers coming to and from Canada, I'm noticing a lot of empty areas on the shelves. And I think that when we throw our American truckers into that, we're going to start seeing a lot more of it. So I would advise people to go shop now.
You have a week and a half.
Yeah,
ladies
you got
and gentlemen.
a week and a half.
You've got a week and a half. And I'm okay with that. I'll say what Nicole's not. It's like the crazy memes you see out there. Like, well, I don't need truckers. I get my meat at the store.
Right. How'd it get there?
Yeah, right. And sadly, the memes are only true because some idiots actually said that, you know. And I think that's what people have to understand is, like, when you start to monkey with the rank and file, blue collar, lower and middle class, you're monkeying with the backbone of this country, of this republic.
Right.
And when you monkey with people like truckers, you're not just monkeying with the backbone, you're actually monkeying with the blood flow. I mean, we refer to the interstate system as the arteries of the United States. Well, that interstate system might be the arteries, and all the roads and highways and county roads and all of that stuff might be the blood vessels and the blood veins and whatnot. But the blood, the corpuscles that carry, this is tie in well with all the medical folk, that carry all of the needed supplies, the oxygen and the white blood cells and all that other stuff are coming from the truckers. They're coming from the truckers. And if you take even so much as a third of the trucks out of the circulation right now for this, people are going to feel this. You might still see this is going to be felt. You might still see Walmart running their trucks. You might see Amazon running their trucks because they're now building their own fleet. But they can't do it all. They just can't.
And what a lot of people have to realize is that when you see those Walmart trucks, or let's see, what's another big company you see a lot?
Target.
Do what?
Target's one of them.
Target, Kroger. You're seeing trailers. A lot of the guys that are pulling these, they own their own semi.
They're independent contractors.
Yes. So we will have less Walmart trucks on the road. We will have less Target trucks per se, because they're just pulling their trailers. They're not going to be pulling those for a while. So, I mean, it is going to make an impact. It's not that we're intentionally trying to harm anybody or have anybody go without, but at some point you have to say enough's enough. And the only way to do that is to shut down.
Right. Well, when you look at other protests in the past, especially, I don't know, let's go back to the summer of 2020 when people were mostly peacefully protesting the death of George Floyd by burning down their own neighborhoods, looting their own stores, their own neighborhood stores, and destroying their own local mom and pop businesses and the Targets and the Walmarts and the whatevers. Everybody's like, oh, when the people don't have a voice, this is what happens. When you marginalize people and make them feel disenfranchised, this is what happens. And a lot of people justified that and said we have to let them vent their frustration. Nobody called it out for the violence that it was. Nobody called it out. I shouldn't say nobody, but the mainstream legacy media was just, oh, it's too bad that they had to come to this, but that's what it is. As they burned down police precincts and assaulted private citizens and destroyed privately owned businesses and even corporate stores and whatnot. That's just how people feel when they're disenfranchised. And nobody was disenfranchising them. Tragically, one person died. Didn't have to die. It was a bad situation, but it was an overreaction that nobody wanted to respond to. Now, people are being intentionally disenfranchised. Still, to this day, we still have the administration trying to force people to do something that they absolutely do not want to do and shouldn't be able to be forced to do. And people have said, you're disenfranchising me, and enough is enough. And they're talking about doing it peacefully. Granted, if you live in a town or a neighborhood where people are rolling through and blowing their horns, people are going to get a little irritated. But how's that any different than, celebrating your local football team's homecoming win or whatever it might be?
Right.
And that's what I want people to understand. This isn't nobody's calling for war. We're not calling for armed revolution. We're not calling for physical violence. We're calling for what's guaranteed to the American people, the true government, the government of the people, for the people, by the people. That's us doing what we're ordered to do by our ruling authority, which is the Constitution, saying you will assemble for a redress of grievances. And sometimes when the people who should be addressing those grievances aren't listening, the only way to get their attention is to make them incredibly uncomfortable.
Correct.
And the only way to do that safely for any of us is to do it in numbers.
Correct. And
it can't be just a handful of truckers. You all of you. I know Nicole would, and I'll let her say it, I credit her for being unprepared to do this today and still being willing to do it, especially when the rest of the admin team looked at her and goes, have you watched any of his videos? I don't want to go on that Fruitcakes channel. It takes more, and I'm going to get emotional about this. I've been pleading with people. And we had a situation here in Minnesota, and I'm sure you guys probably had kind of the same thing. I don't know, maybe not. But other places across the United States, we had people, they're out protesting because their poor junior and poor, sissy weren't going to be able to compete in their senior year of sports because they shut down sports. Right. And here in Minnesota, we had a parents group formed called Let Them Play Minnesota. And they started showing up to all of the peaceful protests, the Reopen Minnesota protests. And they were, petitioning the governor and petitioning the senators and the legislature. Let them play, let them play, let them play. And then they got their way and they went home and forgot about the rest of us. They forgot about the business owners and everybody else who were losing everything. But their kids got what they wanted, so they went home. And I have been, and I told doctors and nurses who were counter-protesting, telling people that they were endangering lives, that they're going to turn on you. Because at some point, the powers that be, the elected servants who think they're the decision makers, are going to turn on the doctors and the nurses and all the other medical healthcare field people. And sooner or later, they're going to tell you will get the jab. And this is before the jab was even a thing. I said, they're going to turn on you in some way. And so you might be heroes now, but later on, you're going to be the enemy. And where are we? Those same people that were counter-protesting, freedom-minded individuals all across the United States are now the enemy. And this is where we band together. That's why groups like Midwest Freedom Convoy and all of the other ancillary groups that are coordinating all of these efforts, this is where we band together. This isn't about the truckers alone. The truckers are doing this for us. They're doing this for us.
And I think one of the big controversies I would say right now is that they're really trying to say that this is a right-winged thing, an extreme right wing. And it's
Well, yeah,
not.
because that's everything that goes against the current narrative is an
Right. It's
extreme right wing.
not. We have plenty of what I would call lefties joining in with us. It's what they're not realizing, what a lot of people are not realizing, is that it's not at this moment in life, this moment in history, it's not black versus white. It's not, you know, any type of religious thing. It's not good versus bad. It's,
Well, I would no, yeah, it is.
well, when I get to the end, you'll see my point. It's the little people, the everyday people who are going to work every single day to take care of their families versus the elite. And by the elite, I mean the people that think that they control us. It's our government.
Yeah.
And unless you guys can set aside your Republican versus Democrat and your black versus white problems, we're not going to get anything solved. And I don't care whether you're left or you're right. At some point during the last 2 years, at the very least, you've had to have seen something that you said that's not okay.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you got to hold your neighbor's hand. You got to say, you know what? I don't care how you think. We're in this together. You know, we are here. And so that's what I try to make people understand is it's not one versus the other. It's us versus them, meaning big government. And I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what color you are. Come hold my hand and stand next to me, and let's tell them that they don't control us.
Right.
And that's just my perspective on it.
Well, I think that's the right perspective. And that's what I've been trying to get people to understand is like, I can stand arm in arm with people from various and diverse backgrounds. I've told people that from the start of this. I've linked arms literally in protests with atheists. I have a friend. People are not. I was telling this to somebody here not too long ago. I have a friend out of the Twin Cities area who is a gay, black, Muslim male that I have literally linked arms with to resist Antifa and Black Bloc and the new Black Panthers from coming in to shut down our peaceful protest. And we stood there and we held the line together. I just let that sink in. Gay, black, Muslim, male. The world would have you believe that on 4 of those or 3 of those 4 things, we should be enemies and never be able to be on the same side of an issue.
Correct.
But there we are.
You know, another big issue that we have is media, mainstream media. That's another fight all in itself that we're trying to deal with. We want to make sure that people are getting accurate information and truth. And
yes,
unfortunately, mainstream has done a very terrible job of that.
Which is why I wanted to talk to you. And I'll talk to anybody else from any of the other groups. So if they see this, I'm going to try and get this out yet today. So if they see this and they want to reach out to me for their groups to help coordinate, tell them they can reach out to me. I would gladly talk to them.
I sure will.
Because this is what's so important is what you said. And I loved it. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a libertarian. I might care if you're an avowed Marxist.
So funny story, talking about Democrat, Republican. A lot of people think that this is an all Republican movement, and it's not. The night that they stay overnight in my area, which is where I will join them and go the rest of the way, we have a pastor that's going to come do a prayer for the truckers, and he's going to offer services to do, one-on-one with them if they want. But he is a Democrat, and he was very open about it. And so we have a Democrat Methodist preacher coming to pray with us before we leave. So it's not a Republican versus Democrat thing. It's everybody.
And that's what people have to get through their heads. It's like, here's something. And I appreciate the fact that you used the term leftist earlier, because I've really been pushing on people about this a lot. We have to stop referring to the people that disagree with us as libs. liberals or libtards. The people that are the most adamant about disagreeing with us right now are not classical liberals. They are hardcore leftists. They are Marxist, and there is a vein of them in this country. And right now they are very vocal, and they control a lot of the media. They control a lot of the people in elected servants positions. And we do need to be wary of that. But some of our strongest allies are going to be the genuine classical liberals who believe in personal autonomy, who believe in freedom of choice.
Right.
And there might be things on freedom of choice that we disagree on in some respects. But there are places where we agree, and we should be able to agree with them and link arms with them in this fight. Because this is a fight. It sounds like we've used some war language, but we are in a culture war. And right now we're letting them win by controlling the narrative. And that's why videos like this are going to be incredibly important for us to get them out there, so that people are able to see, like, I can be part of something without having to be in a radical insurrectionist.
Right.
I can actually be part of something. And in this on a scale of impact, if we get half of the people that say they want to be part of this involved, they're not going to be able to ignore this.
No.
And
I think that even if we got a quarter of them, they would be able to ignore it.
And that, absolutely, for sure. And that's the thing with that number of people out there doing the independent citizen journalism thing of streaming and shooting video and sharing it with people like me to put on my channel or put other people's channels. And that's the thing. If you do this and you don't have your own YouTube channel, or you don't want to stream it to Facebook, but you want to get it to somebody, get it to me. We'll show the truth, because I can't go all the way. I can take part here for a while in Minnesota, but I can't go all the way. But you get it to me, and Nicole and I have already talked about trying to find a way to do that. But you get it to me, we'll put it out there, because the mainstream media, the legacy media, the corporate media, the corporatocracy media is not going to cover this in a positive light.
No.
So you get it to people like me, you put it out there yourself. They're going to have to have a serious amount of cognitive dissonance to say, oh, well, I've seen video, but clearly, even though the video shows nothing bad happen, I have to believe they're all evil.
Right.
That's what we need. And that's why we need the supporters, not just the truckers. We need every single person that can take part in whatever way to be part of this. And make sure you get to the grocery store in the next week and a half, so you can at least have toilet paper and macaroni and cheese.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, there was still plenty of macaroni and cheese. They're running low on Chef Boyardee, though. That was a little disappointing.
She says because she has a lot of kids.
Yeah, so. I do. Some I want to point out, though, a question that I get asked a lot is, well, I can't go. So what can I do to help? And so I just like to put it out there that I like to put a little bug in people's ear that says Washington, D.C. is not the only place that you can make an impact.
Right.
Government starts small. So anywhere that you can get a group of people together, waving those flags, letting them know we stand with,
that's right,
the group that's over there, do it. I don't care if it's at your courthouse. I don't care if it's at your state house. I don't care if it's outside your sheriff's department. Your tax dollars pay their salaries. They work for you. That's a big problem that we're running into is they think that they own us and that we work for them. That's not the case. It's backwards. They work for you. Call them. If you can't get out of your house, call them. Blow their phones up. Call them over and over and over and over.
By blow their phones up, she means ring them off their hooks, ladies.
Sorry, I did it again. Yes. Sorry. Set that call on repeat until you finally get through to somebody and tell them, this is how we feel.
Exactly. It's all. In fact, the whole reason this kind of effort, this Freedom Convoy from all over the United States, is going to have any impact is because it's going to be going through those places on its way to the end point.
Right.
But the impact that it's going to have locally is going to be even more important than the impact that it has in a place like Washington, D.C. Like, quite frankly, if Washington's D.C. gets shut down and everybody gets starved out, nobody cares. Like, I mean, literally, if Washington, D.C. can never open for business again, we'll all be a lot better off. It's true. It's true, because
I mean, what I would like to see is this. We do have meetings. I actually have the opportunity to go talk in front of Congress. We do have meetings set up, and it would be amazing to walk into these meetings and see these representatives' phones going crazy because state representatives are calling them saying, we got groups of people outside saying that blah, blah, blah. It'd be amazing. That's the support that we need. We need the backup.
If you are a local trucker who literally people are relying on to haul grain to their farms, like I use Minnesota because we're such a agrarian state, and you just know that you can't abandon your customer base for weeks on end because they do need you to haul grain or haul milk or whatever. Take a couple of days out of the week and just with your friends drive up there with your trucks and your trailers and the tractors and your combines, even though it's winter, and just drive around Minnesota's capital in St. Paul for a few hours every day and see what happens.
Right. They'll notice.
They'll notice. They will notice. And
especially
as
if you have a combine in the middle of town.
But it's an image, isn't it?
Right. I would take notice of that. Even where I live in a small town, I'd be like, why is there a combine in the middle of town?
What are they? Well, most of the people in Minneapolis would think it was some sort of military equipment. Look at that tank. No,
right. Yeah. But it starts small. So there's plenty that people that can't go to DC can do.
And look at some of the people that showed up in Ottawa. They literally had tractor convoys show up in Ottawa.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my favorite was at the border where the cowboys showed up on their horses.
Yes, showed up. And they rode for miles.
Yeah.
And miles along the corridor. So are we in the middle of a culture war? Absolutely. But we should be in control. We should be in the driver's seat. And I want to echo so much of what you said about this isn't about ethnicity. This isn't about a religious creed. This isn't about a political party in and of itself. There is one political party that's definitely more interested in controlling every aspect of your life. But guess what? There are people in the Republican Party that are centrists who are going to do whatever they need to do to get along with the other side just so that they can have peace. And we don't want them to have peace in the sense of we don't want them in danger, but we don't want them to be at peace with the decisions they're making. We want them to be disturbed with the decisions they're making. And we want them to be radically disturbed in the decisions that they're making because we, as you so rightly said, it's us. We're the government. We're in charge. They work for us, and they need to be reminded of that. Nicole, quick. Once again, don't forget to get me in contact with that guy coming from Washington.
Oh yeah.
But people want to reach out. They can go to the Midwest Freedom Convoy. They can follow you on TikTok. I'm sure you will point them in the right directions from there. If there are any nurses currently employed or currently unemployed who are trying to have an impact, we'll take them, correct?
Oh, I'll take anybody. Anybody wants to come, let's go.
Right. And once again, we cannot emphasize enough, this is a peaceful protest designed to get the attention of the people who work for us so that they will start to heed what we want instead of forcing their will on us, correct?
Correct, yes.
Peaceful.
Yes, which means if you're joining the convoy, if even for a short period, for a short distance, please follow all the road laws. We do not want to attract negative attention to us. If you go with us all the way to DC, just, follow the rules. As long as, we have things in place that as long as you're not breaking laws, if something were to happen to you, let's say, for instance, you're walking down the street and they arrest you and you ain't done nothing wrong, but because you're part of this, they arrest you. We have things in place to help you.
There will be a defense fund.
Right. So just make sure that you're doing what you need to do on your end. Otherwise, we can't offer that assistance. If you go busting out windows, breaking into buildings, setting things on fire, we're not gonna have that us.
And if you see anybody that looks like they're going to be up to something,
walk away. Get away
and report them.
Right.
Even if you think they might be part of the group, if they look like they're doing something shady, report them.
Yes. We've made it very clear that we will police our own, that if any major problems arise that does need to have law enforcement involved, we will call them ourselves. That's how adamant we are about making this very peaceful. We want to be heard, but we don't want to be heard in a negative manner. We just want them to know that we're there. We're there. And it could go. If we wanted it to go another way, it could, but we're choosing not to.
Yeah, and that's huge. That we need to be able to acknowledge that, and people need to understand, like, that we don't want that.
Right.
We just want our lives. We want our lives back, and we want our republic restored to the way
Right.
it was meant to run. So, Nicole, I thank you for your time. I appreciate
Thanks for having me on here.
Thanks for doing it short notice. I don't know. She said things so much more eloquently than I could. I get, that's most of my guests anyway. We need this. And when I say things like you have a week and a half to go and stock up, I would just out grocery shopping on Saturday this week, the 19th of February. Like pasta. I mean, like, seriously, in Minnesota, pasta? It's not like we got that many Italians living in southeast Minnesota. Like, we're just out of pasta. Like, what else could we? Oh, chicken breast. Like, what? How do we end up with the chicken breast shortage? And the truckers are still working. What do you think is going to happen if a third or 2/3 or 50% of the truckers take part in this? You guys need to go stock up, fill your shelves at home, fill your freezers, become self-sufficient, and then support the truckers. The money that you save while they're doing this, because there's nothing to buy, if that's what it comes down to, find a way to put a little bit aside for yourself and then send some money for fuel. And understand that the media is going to do their level best to bastardize these people. They're going to do everything that they can to make this group of people look as bad as possible. And it's going to be on you, the independent citizen out there, functioning as an actual journalist, to go out and record what's actually happening. And to, as Nicole said, police our own. If you're going to go out and take part in these rallies, these rolling protests, you need to have your eyes on every single person around you, watching for the people that we know are the ones that are going to go out there and try and cause the trouble. And it happens so often. Don't let it happen. Be peaceful, because that's who we are. And recognize that no matter what, they're going to try and stir up hate against you. So go out and enjoy this. If you have to, learn how to square dance. I don't understand square dancing, and like, I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe you could all take up curling while you're in Washington, D.C. That might just start curling in front of the White House. See how they can paint that into some sort of radical thing. I don't know. But check out Nicole on TikTok. Check out the Midwestern Freedom Convoy. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be trying to keep you updated. And once again, join me on the 4th here if you're in Minnesota and you want to be part of the southeastern section of this. Come join me along Interstate 90 as I head west to find the convoy as it's coming east, and then we'll join them and stop with them in Albert Lee. We'll stop with them. Like I said, I'm going to probably go to the Wisconsin border with them, shoot video, shoot interviews and conversations, and just pray for these people. By all means, pray for them, because a lot of them are going to be away from home for a while. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be cold, and they're going to be needing a lot of things. So pray for them and provide what you can. Once again, check out the channel, like, subscribe, share, get the information out there. If you need really good coffee, you can email me, tcpearson@protonmail.com, or you can message me on Facebook. Or if you just need a really good cup to go with a really good coffee, or if you are just at the point of the day where you need something to take the edge off, I have these really nice low balls that I would never say that you have to put bourbon in them. But boy, it sure tastes better in these. So anyway, and then check out Sib Shield. Discount code MNBRR for 10% off. And you can have a nice little thing to put your phone in to protect you from an EMP or from spying. It's silly or not, whatever you think, it actually works. I put my phone in there the other day and closed it up, and I tried to get my Google to talk to me, and it couldn't hear me at all. So check it out. It's a really nice little tool. And be peaceful. And until next time, Sic Semper Tyrannis.
authorized